Ariana Grande had walked countless red carpets throughout her career, from award shows to movie premieres to charity galas where fans lined the streets just to catch a glimpse of her. But on this particular Thursday evening in Singapore, the excitement felt different. It was the premiere of her new film, Wicked, for Good, a project she had poured her heart and soul into for years. The world had watched her transformation into Glinda with a mix of admiration, curiosity, and nostalgia, and now, as she arrived at Universal Studios Singapore to celebrate the film with her castmates and fans, she expected nothing more than an extraordinary but ordinary premiere night, smiling for cameras, greeting supporters, hugging her cast, and feeling the electric buzz that only a movie launch could bring. No one had warned her that within minutes, she would be left frightened, shaken, and clutching onto her friend as she tried to comprehend what had just happened. Ariana, dressed in an elegant gown perfectly aligned with the magical, whimsical tone of Wicked, was walking alongside Cynthia Erivo, who played the fierce and powerful Elphaba in the film. The two women, who had grown incredibly close during the movie's long production, moved together effortlessly, waving to fans, posing for photos, and giggling under their breath whenever one of them made a silly comment about how surreal everything felt. Cynthia, older by 6 years and naturally more protective, often kept a careful eye on Ariana during events, not because Ariana couldn't handle herself, but because Cynthia understood the heaviness that came with being Ariana Grande, someone adored by millions yet constantly haunted by the vulnerabilities that came with fame. The premiere's atmosphere was thick with excitement. Fans held up posters, phones, signs, and even miniature wands painted gold and green to honor Glinda and Elphaba. Cameramen called out the actresses' names. Flashes brightened the walkway like lightning, and event hosts stood ready to interview the cast as they made their way forward. Security guards, dressed sharply in black suits, formed a human barrier between the stars and the enthusiastic crowd. It was a typical scene, one Ariana had experienced 1,000 times before, but dangers tend to hide inside normal moments, and no one noticed the warning signs until it was too late. A man, wearing a white t-shirt, loose casual shorts, and unmistakably long black hair streaked with dyed blue strips, had been lurking near the barricades for some time. At first, people thought he was just another overly excited fan. Maybe a bit dramatic, maybe trying too hard to be noticed, but harmless. He blended in at a distance. But those who paid closer attention might have seen something off. The way he paced, the way he clutched his phone tightly while filming himself, the way he muttered words under his breath as if rehearsing something. He wasn't acting like the rest of the fans, who were screaming happily, waving signs, or politely waiting for the actresses to pass by. What no one realized at that moment, not Ariana, not Cynthia, not the security guards, and not the fans, was that this man was already known in celebrity circles, especially online. His name was Johnson Wen, though many recognized him by a different nickname, Pajama Man. The red carpet crasher, infamous for showing up at major events and ambushing celebrities with little warning. He had pulled stunts before lunging at Katy Perry, trying to grab The Weeknd, and even rushing towards the Chainsmokers during one of their gigs. He filmed everything, posted it on social media, and seemed to enjoy the attention, especially the shock and confusion he caused. His behavior wasn't merely enthusiastic fan energy, it had an obsessive, unpredictable edge that made those who knew his history worry every time he got near a famous figure. As Ariana and Cynthia walked the carpet, unaware of the storm brewing behind them, Wynn was already preparing to make his move. He recorded eerie video clips of himself standing beneath a huge poster of Ariana as Glinda, smiling in a way that seemed far too intense, almost theatrical, as if he was performing his own twisted version of a movie scene. In one of the clips shared later online, he said in a dreamy, almost delusional voice, "I feel like I'm in a dream. That's my best friend, Ariana Grande, and I'm going to meet her. I've been dreaming about that," followed by a laugh so exaggerated it sent chills down the spine of anyone who watched it later. It didn't sound like excitement anymore, it sounded like obsession. An obsession has a way of blurring the line between admiration and danger. While Ariana was posing for a group of photographers, smiling politely as the lights flashed, when suddenly broke from the barricade. It happened so quickly that most people didn't even process what they were seeing until it was already unfolding. One moment Ariana was gracefully turning her head to look at a group of fans, and the next, she saw a blur of white and blue sprinting toward her. In the video that later went viral online, Wynn lunges forward with frightening determination, reaching out and grabbing Ariana around her shoulders and neck, pulling her into him as she struggles to free herself. Her face shifts instantly from a soft red carpet smile to pure alarm. You can see the realization hit her. This is not a harmless moment. This is someone forcing themselves into her space, grabbing her body without her consent, and doing so in front of cameras and hundreds of people. It only took a second for Cynthia Erivo's instincts to kick in. Without any hesitation, without even a pause, she stepped in front of Ariana, her body acting as a shield. She physically jumped between her friend and the attacker, pushing herself outward in a protective stance that made people watching gasp. Cynthia shouted something, though the video didn't quite capture what it was. Perhaps a warning, perhaps calling for security, perhaps just yelling to distract the man. But whatever she did it with a courage and split-second clarity that would later be praised across social media. Her presence gave Ariana just enough time to stumble backward, away from the man's grasp. As the security team rushed in, the guards swarmed Johnson when almost instantly, grabbing him from behind, pulling at his arms, and wrestling him away from the actresses. Some fans screamed, others froze, unsure if what they were witnessing was real or part of some dramatic staged moment. But the panic in Ariana's eyes, the way she backed away with her hand over her chest, and the natural terror that flooded her expression made it painfully clear. This was real, and she was frightened. When continued to struggle and laugh strangely even as the guards dragged him away, he didn't look afraid or embarrassed, he looked proud, almost triumphant. Like he believed he had accomplished some personal mission. The cameras kept rolling, capturing every angle of the chaos. Ariana's fear, Cynthia's protective stance, the guards' frantic movements, and the crowd's stunned silence. It was a deeply unsettling moment, especially considering Ariana's past trauma involving unsafe public situations. Anyone who followed her journey understood that unexpected chaos carried extra weight for her. Once Wen was pulled away and restrained, Ariana stood trembling beside Cynthia. Cynthia wrapped an arm around her, pulling her close. Ariana leaned into her friend, still shaken, her breath uneven as she tried to understand how an evening meant to celebrate a major milestone had turned into a moment of fear. Cameras continued snapping photos, but now they felt intrusive, almost cruel, capturing vulnerability rather than glamour. Fans later commented online that Ariana's hands appeared to be shaking, and her face looked pale compared to earlier moments on the carpet. Cynthia whispered to her, trying to calm her, trying to remind her she was safe. Ariana nodded slowly, but her eyes stayed fixed on the area where the man had been pulled away moments earlier. You could feel her confusion, her fear, her exhaustion. Fame may bring love and admiration, but it also brings risks most people never have to think about, as security escorted Wen off the premises. The crowd murmured with outrage. Some fans shouted at him, calling him out for his behavior, telling him he had gone too far. They were protective of Ariana, not just because she was a celebrity, but because they had watched her suffer through traumatic events before, particularly the Manchester tragedy that had changed her forever. Seeing her startled, grabbed, and vulnerable reopened emotional wounds for her and for the fans who remembered how deeply that tragedy affected her.